Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Remote Work Movement, a podcast about remote work and people making waves in this industry. I am Gonçalo, and my guest for today's episode is Brittany Bond, the CEO of Remote Collective. Brittany believes in challenging the status quo of how we work and that we all should have the flexibility to choose where we work. She is also a co-living and co-working consultant that has built, launched, and scaled spaces for the last 4 years. She also spent the last year consulting for corporates on culture change through flexible workspaces and remote work programs. Super interesting person. She has the passion for empowering other women entrepreneurs and organized a women festival in January with almost 400 participants back in Chiang Mai in Thailand. During this episode, we will speak a lot about remote work, how Brittany went from a lawyer to remote work expert, tactics and proven strategies to approach your boss and ask him to work remotely, the power of programs like Wi-Fi Tribe, Remote Ear, and how they helped her to start as a digital nomad, how Brittany organized a big festival in Thailand and how she was able to build bridges with the local community, what makes an amazing co-working and co-living space, and much, much, much more. Please enjoy Brittany Bond. Well, thank you very much for joining this podcast and being one of the first guests ever in this podcast. So you are making history right now, hopefully. And yeah, you have such an amazing background. I went through your LinkedIn and it's amazing, even how we connect. So I want to start from the beginning. You are doing a lot of interesting things right now, but how did it all start? What triggered your interest about remote work in the first place, and how did you join this movement?
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. I've always wanted to work remotely. So for me, it started from right out of high school when I was going into university. I always wanted to have a job where I had a flexible life. And I was always trying to get my work to let me work remotely. This is back when I very first started. So I studied law and I worked in intellectual property law for 6 years in the United States. And I helped most of the law firms that I worked for to go paperless and optimize our systems. But it was all very selfish. It was for the point that I could work remotely. And I was able to do that. I was able to work remotely in Costa Rica for my law firm.
Nice. And how was the transition? So working in an office, it's very different from working remotely. Me, myself, felt a lot of challenges when I first joined the remote movement. How was your transition and how do you adapt from an office lifestyle to a remote lifestyle without many rules, with a more flexible schedule, etc.?
I mean, the way that I transitioned, even to convince my boss to let me do it, was in phases. So I said, can I work from home a couple days a week? They said yes. So I did that. And that helped me to check in with the office and then also have my home. So I didn't go full remote at first. I think that's my thing I always tell people is it's easier to start if you're not 100% remote, because I was still able to check in with the team face-to-face time. And then I worked remotely in a neighboring state. I lived in the United States. So I went somewhere in the same time zone. And then that worked out for a while. And then I said, okay, can I work to another country? And they said, okay, let's try it. And it was always, let's just try it. Let's just try it. If it doesn't work, I promise I'll come back. And it always, worked out. So.
Do you think this is a mistake that people do often? So a lot of people want to work remotely right now, and most of the people just think about abandon their job and looking for a remote company. Do you think it will be easier first trying to have an approach to their own company and see if they could start working remotely and going like through phases like you did?
I think it depends on the market. So when I first was starting, it was 2012, 2013. So this is before digital nomads was a term. This is before anyone really was working remotely. So I was definitely trying to change the culture of my work. And that's really hard, especially in the legal field, which is very traditional. So that was an uphill battle. Whereas nowadays there's actually remote job postings. But I think the best answer is to do something in the middle. Like you probably have skills that are able to transition to a remote job that can make it so you can get paid more. Because if you completely leave your career and start a new career just to work remotely, you're not going to make the same money or even anything close to what you were making before. Whereas if you can somehow transfer your skill set over, you can make pretty good money working remote and then live in a country that's a lot cheaper.
Yes, definitely. I really feel that a lot of people, as you know, I work for Remote How, and a lot of people connect with me asking for remote jobs. And like I said, it's not like you just don't get a remote job like that. You are now competing with the rest of the world, not your own neighborhoods. And being competing with the rest of the world, do you have any advice for people that want to stand out?
Stand out. I think to be authentic, because people can tell really quickly when I talk to companies of how to hire. The one thing that they say is when they look at a resume and it says, I just want to work remotely. Like if the interaction between them and that person is more about the remote job than it is about the position, they don't hire that person. So I would recommend to be as passionate as you can about the position, even though you want to also have it for a remote job. But the employer doesn't want to just be helping you with your lifestyle. They want to make sure that they're bringing on a really good teammate and someone who can be very good at the job. So just go hard with being passionate about being part of the team and everything, and then that will make you stand out.
Definitely. That's a very, very good advice. I think you mentioned remote work should be, I need to remote. Amazing. Not just like, I want to be hired by a company because you are hiring remote employees. And I really want to remote work. But do you know what we do? Not really, but I really want to work remotely.
Yeah, no one's going to hire you.
Like, that's not going to work at all. So you had a steady job. You were making probably some good money since you were also living outside the US. What made you transition to more of a freelancing or consulting lifestyle? What made you transition from you had a steady job, steady work, right now I want to work for my own? What was the trigger on there?
The trigger for me was that the culture was always that I had to come back and work in the office. So it was never, okay, you can just work remotely permanently. It was like, we gave you X amount of months per year, and then now you have to work in the office for the rest of your life. And after I had a taste of working remotely, especially in a country where it was a lot cheaper, I thought, no, I can't. I just literally couldn't go back into a working environment where everyone was 9 to 5 and just working for the weekends when I had lived on the beach in Costa Rica, having my complete own schedule, doing whatever I wanted. So I really wanted that freedom back, and I knew that I could do it on my own. So then I went back and worked in the office, and when I would go home, I would start working on my own business, and I would just start figuring out what I wanted to do. So it was a grind. It was like I'd wake up, go to work, go to the gym, work on my laptop until I fell asleep on my laptop, and then I would wake up and
wow.
I did that for about 6 months before I got to the next thing that I wanted to do.
Nice. And how did you make your first dollar online? I'm very curious now.
I had been connecting with people who were running co-working spaces. I was dating a guy at the time who helped launch Impact Hubs, which is a co-working space in the US. And so I got connected to people who also wanted to start a co-living travel company. So we partnered up, and I helped them launch their company, and I was doing that remotely while I was still working at a law firm. So they were in South America, and I was doing all the social media, like posting these amazing photos, and I was still in my office in New York City. And I'm like, I hate this. So then I finally joined the group and started traveling with the group. And our first location was in Portugal.
Oh, wow. That's my country. It's amazing. It's amazing how much hype Portugal is having right now. When I left Portugal, it was a while ago, there was no hype about Portugal. And right now I just see everywhere is in Portugal, and I'm outside Portugal. I'm currently in Kuala Lumpur. And it's like, okay, all the hype now is in Portugal. I'm on the other side of the world. What the hell am I doing with my life? But I kind of enjoy it here. You work with a lot of co-working spaces, and I'm very impressed because I think you work in all of my favorite co-working spaces. So we work in Dojo in Bali, in Outpost, and they are also in Bali, Chris, and in Panspace in Chiang Mai. How did you end up working with these amazing co-working spaces? And did you have anything to do with their being so great right now? Because to be honest, they are all my favorite co-working spaces, and that's very curious. How did you manage to do that?
When I was doing the co-living travel company, we would go to different locations, and I would partner up with the co-working space. And so a lot of them was in Croatia and like these random countries where co-working was just starting. So I naturally was starting to help with the events, and I would help give them tips on how to make things better. Because they were at ground zero. And when I got to Asia, the same thing was happening. I was in Panspace and they didn't have any events. And I'm like, what? This is the only main co-working space in Chiang Mai. How do you guys not have events? So I started talking to them, and they were like, well, maybe you can do some consulting. So I just kind of fell into it. I was just helping. And then they asked, can you help? Like, can you do this on an official level? So then I started consulting for them, and I helped them scale from 1 location to 3 locations. And then it's all through word of mouth. So then I spoke at a co-working conference, and then the owner of Dojo in Bali found out about me and asked me to come to Bali and consult for them. So everything led to another, and it was amazing. It's like someone hires you to fly to their country and consult for them. I don't think we can get better. Yeah.
And though the countries were quite interesting as well. It's not like any country. It was Bali and Thailand. So I guess that also helped a little bit in your decision, for sure. You mentioned conferences. Do you go usually to conference? Do you think it's a good way to interact with other people and even to find another job or another freelance gig, for example?
I think so. Yeah. I think networking is a big thing because especially in our the community is still very small, so it's a lot of word of mouth. It's if someone can trust you, and FaceTime is really. It's funny because we work remotely, but if you know someone face to face or you're in the co-working space with them, you're probably more likely to give them a job or ask them for someone that they know. So I think getting out there and networking as much as you can. I always tell people the hardest part is just getting on the plane, like getting out there and being in the community. And then usually things work out really well from there.
Yes, definitely. One of the cool things of most of the co-working spaces where you work is that they all have inside communities. Like it can be on Slack, it can be another channel. But I see that a lot of job posts when people need some help with social media, with coding, they always post first on their co-working space channels. So that's also true because you will trust, and it's easier for you to trust someone that's next to you and you can see and you can talk and you feel their vibe instead of just hiring someone on Fiverr or in Upwork. So definitely I see that face-to-face time, even in co-working spaces, even we working remotely 100% of the time, it's so important.
I agree.
Connected with your love with co-working spaces, that I see it's something that you really, really are passionate about. You currently founded a Remote Collective, right? And what is the goal for Remote Collective? What is Remote Collective and what is the goal for it?
Yeah, so Remote Collective, I started this because I really believe in changing the status quo of how we work. And I believe everyone should have access to remote work because people were talking to me and saying, how do you do this? How do I get there? And then I decided I need to help people because I really feel like everyone can and they have the opportunity to. So we try and disrupt the status quo through education. Like we have a video series that we're doing. We've traveled all around the world filming. And then I do consulting. So I help companies transition to remote work programs. I also host retreats for companies that want to do remote work. And then I do a lot of social impact work. So I help build and educate different communities. And that also includes my women entrepreneurship.
Nice. And you chose YouTube. Why YouTube?
We chose to air the Remote Collective on YouTube because then everyone can have access to it. And we have distribution partners that can then share that onto their website. So we wanted to have everyone to be able to access it. For me, it's more just getting out the education. And then it makes it so that, it just makes it so easy. Like for me, YouTube lives forever. Whereas if you post it, you give it to just one person or Facebook or something, it all just gets lost.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I saw your videos and the quality of the production was very, very good. I'm trying to vlog and I find it so hard to edit the images and having the patience to go step by step, connect with the music. Are you doing it by yourself or do you have someone else to do it?
Oh, I am not doing it by myself. My partner is a documentary filmmaker and he's worked for a national Discovery Channel. So he's legitimate pro. He's been doing that for 10 years. So partnering with him and then my network of co-working, co-living, remote work was the perfect blend. So I think it's amazing that he said yes to kind of helping me showcase this because again, if I was doing it on my own, I would be lost in like how to put a thumbnail up and how to do all this random stuff. Yeah. Yes,
I feel it. I feel that pain so well. We totally failed on documenting our travel. We are right now in our 4th country, and we shoot in every single country, but we haven't added anything, 0. And because it's so hard to make it well and make it interesting when we were editing and we see the final product and we see the final product, for example, yours or other travel vloggers, and it's like, no, this is not good enough. And it's very, very hard to do something as good and as well produced as you are doing. So congratulations. That was really nice, to be honest. And talking about your channel, you were also in south of Spain, in the co-living space. Can you tell me the name? I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, so our first location that we are airing right now is at Sun & Co, which is a co-living space in the south of Spain. It's one of my favorites. They earned the honor of being one of the best communities I've ever been to, because John and Sienna, the people who run it, they put so much into building the community out on a professional and a personal level. So they have skill shares, masterminds, but they also organize like dinners and events for the community. And it's just a really great place to just go and not hide, but like focus on your work and then have an amazing community as well. So
nice.
Highly recommend it. And then we're going in the series, we go to 5 more co-living spaces in Europe. So it'll air.
Wow.
So.
Nice. How do you choose a co-living space? Co-living right now is like open everywhere. There is tons of them in Bali. They are burning like, it looks mushrooms like every single day. There is a new co-living space. How do you distinguish the good ones of the bad ones? And what exactly are you looking for in when you join a co-living space?
For me, a co-living space is a place where you can intentionally live and work together. And it's with people who have legitimate businesses or they're working on something. So the difference between a co-living space and a hostel is that a hostel, everyone's on holiday, they're on vacation, they're there to party, they're there to get as much as they can out of the town that they're in or the city that they're in. Whereas a co-living space, you usually take it a little bit more slow, you work during the day. So for me, it would be, I need to have solid internet, I need to make sure I have good working space, but then also that the community is there and it has opportunities to connect with people, build your skill shares, and then also a community aspect. So when I was picking them, I just went through the ones that I knew already, and a lot of my friends run them. So I just met them and was like, hey, can we come? We want to showcase you guys' space, And some of them I had never been to, so I was really excited to go see them. And I was really proud of what everyone's building. A lot of these spaces have been around for 5 or 6 years before anyone knew what co-living was. And now there's corporates that are opening co-living spaces, but honestly, they feel like hostels, and I probably will never stay here again. So it's important to kind of differentiate that there's still a really big market to open a co-living space that is more of a home environment and not just a hostel.
Yes. I feel a lot in the street when I'm just moving from place to place that one thing we lack as digital nomads, specifically because we are always moving from place to place, is that sense of having a community. So having some place where we belong. I went around it through sport, but you think that someone that doesn't do sport or doesn't do a collective sport like I do, I play volleyball, do you think that the co-living space could be a solution for that loneliness feeling and for that lack of community we feel while traveling?
100%. I always associate or I explain a co-living space. It's like an accelerator program, both professionally and personally. Like you have so many opportunities to grow as a person and to learn from each other, but also just to connect and make friends. Like friends that I have made in co-living spaces, the ones that I ran and the ones that I've stayed in, they're like family. Like I meet up with them in other countries. We always check on each other and make sure everyone's okay. And I don't think that I would have found that in a hostel or even in like an Airbnb or even in a co-working space. Because in a co-working space, you're only there for the day and then you go home or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you see each other in the morning when you're making coffee, you see each other at night when you're watching a movie, and like everyone's just kind of seeing each other in these really intimate moments, and that can create a really great connection with these people.
To be honest, we never been to a co-living space, at least to a very good one with the community. We've been some on the other side where there was no community yet because they were very, very new in the market, in Bali actually. They might develop, but right then they were very, very new to it. And one of the things that put me a little bit off in co-living spaces so far is the price, because it's really easier to rent Airbnb or to rent an apartment with a pool in Bali than to go to a co-living space. What do you think it makes? Do you think the community is worth the difference of the price of the co-living space? So instead of being in an Airbnb where you are all by yourself, do you think it's worth to pay more or double sometimes to be in a co-living space and feel that community?
100%. Like that's why people pay to live in a co-living space, and it makes me sad that you haven't seen that yet. That's what people pay me to go create. Like they pay me to go create that community, and I think that I think I was just talking to an investor in New Zealand who's opening a lot of co-living spaces, and he said that community is a 30% margin. That is why they can put on that margin of an extra price, because that's something that you cannot get staying in an Airbnb. Those connections, those friends, the whole sense of feeling like you belong, it makes it so it doesn't feel like I'm exhausted from traveling, because I feel like I landed somewhere and people are watching out for me and people care. And that's a really big deal when you're traveling, especially in foreign countries and you don't speak the language. It can get really hard after a while. But if you have that community, it's like I have my family here, and that's amazing. I think that's something it's like magic to me. And I love creating that in different places.
Nice. It's one of the things I really want to experience. And I think next year we are going to South America. And I really, really want to try some Celina in South America, or even other co-living space in Brazil or Mexico. We don't know yet. But it's one of the things, it's on our to-do list. Like, we really want to experience that kind of community, because we felt it in some co-working spaces, but in the co-living space, the experience we had, it was not very community driven. So yes, not yet, but it's definitely on my to-do list. One of my favorite things about traveling and working remotely is exactly the different communities I met, all the different amazing people I meet in the different places where I am, and I'm definitely missing that experience. What guides me to, besides the community, imagine you have your own co-living and you actually help co-living places to get the community right. Do you have any 2-3 tips that you can give to someone who is building their co-living space, or they already have it but they lack that community? What can they do to improve their community and the feeling of the people living there?
I just gave a talk on this at a co-working place. So what I think there's very tangible things that you can do, but what I helped in Dojo is to implement what I call rituals. So these are events that are set every single week so that everyone knows to expect them. They can drop in and leave for a country, like 4 months, and come back. And then they know every Monday there's going to be an orientation breakfast for everyone that's new in the space. This is really important to have an orientation thing, because everyone that's new can meet each other. And then they can connect and be like, oh, you're new, let's go hang out, let's go have lunch, And then we usually do at least one skills share or one business professional event a week. So that's a mastermind skill share. Like someone just sharing about what they're doing and helping each other. And then one community event a week. So one way for someone to grow professionally, one way for them to connect on a personal level. And have those routines every single week. Make it a ritual so that people come together and they do it, because it takes a while for those to start. It takes a while for the traction to build, but then once people start expecting it, then they're like excited about it, and then it becomes a thing that people come back for. Exactly.
I totally agree. I think what I miss in some places is exactly the community, and sometimes even in co-working spaces is a little bit the same. Sometimes I like the working space, but if there is no community, it's just a place where we are going to work, right? And so, it's really, really important to build a community. And to every single co-working space owner or co-living space owner that are hearing us right now, please create a community. We are looking for communities. We are in the world. We actually need communities to be happy. So please do it. Changing. Sorry, tell me.
I was saying, when I talk to friends about where they're going next, they go to places because of the community. They will fly to a certain country because they heard the community was really good at this co-working space or this co-living space. That's a game changer right there.
Yes, and I feel that's why people go to Dojo. It's not because it's the best co-working space. It's not because they have the best shares. It's not because they have the best internet. It's because of the community.
Yeah.
It's just,
everyone's always complaining about the chairs there.
They are the perfect example, because everyone I know in Dojo goes there because of the community. They don't go there to do deep work. They just go because they want to feel part of something, and Dojo gives that to them. So I think their strategy, to be honest, is perfect. Every time I meet some co-working owner that needs some help, I point there and say, look at what they are doing. Because they are doing an amazing job, not only to the community, but also showing off what they are doing on Instagram. They are really, really strong on Instagram. So they are my favorite example. I will change gears a little bit, because I'm very interested in knowing, I was checking this out this morning, what is the Bond Women Festival?
So I organize a women's-led festival every year, and it happens in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So we had about 400 people come this year to it. And we had 10 women working on it as volunteers full time. So 10 women leading it with me. And then we had 20 performers, speakers. We had entrepreneurship, health and wellness. And then we had 20 vendors that were organized. They either food vendors or they made their own products. And it became a big festival. And it was amazing. They brought the whole community together. And for me, it's really important to create a platform for women to speak about what they do and what they're proud of and like be excited about that. And also doing it in Chiang Mai was a really good, it's like made a statement about the fact that women can go there. Because a lot of my women friends do not go to Chiang Mai because they hear that it's just a really bro-y place and that, you know, it's not that welcoming for women, because that's the way it was a couple of years ago when I first arrived, and I decided that I was going to change that.
Wow. And why do you feel that's so important to inspire more women to join this movement? And why specifically women and not people in general?
Because I believe that I feel like women should believe they are capable of doing anything they want to do. And I think that everyone is capable of across the board of doing whatever they want to do. But I think a lot of women don't believe that they are capable. And until that changes, that's what I'm going to help change. So I think, you know, I do a lot of meetups and entrepreneurship association that I helped start in Chiang Mai. I do a lot of different social impact work. But I think it's very important for me as a woman to be able to help others. There's a saying that we say that you rise by helping bring up others. And so for me, if I can give back in that way, then I think it's my duty to do so.
Wonderful. That's really great. I saw the little bit of what you have done in the festival and it was really, really inspiring.
Thank you.
How can you put up a festival like that from zero, right? You started from zero, you have nothing before, and you just created from zero in Chiang Mai, in a country that has different laws, have a different political system, definitely different challenges. How was it since the beginning to the end? How did you put everything together? I'm very surprised because I'm doing right now even in Lisbon, and it's my country, it's my city, and it's challenging. And you did the same in Chiang Mai, in a different country. Like, how?
It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've done a lot of crazy things in my career. But it turned into its own startup. Like I was working on it full time while I was working on other things full time. The things that actually paid my bills. I got 22 sponsors for it. We got the Tourism Authority of Thailand. I went and petitioned and they were a sponsor for us because I wanted to make sure that we didn't get in trouble with our visas.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a lot of political things I had to do, a lot of things that I had to do, organizing all the women together, making sure everyone felt empowered and that their voice was heard, and actually getting things done at the same time. Like it was really a very big learning curve for me, and I'm very excited that I did it. There's a saying that you wouldn't do it if you realize how hard it was. I'm one of those people where I just jump right in. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I don't know, but we're going to get started somewhere. And so I just started, and then I realized, oh wow, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But now I'm halfway in, so I have to finish. So yeah, there was a lot of moments of me, needing a pep talk from a friend where it's like, I don't know if I can do this. And they're like, no, you can do it. And then of course, the day of, everything goes amazing and everyone's so excited and you see the fruition of all the hard work and it's like, okay, when are we going to do it again? You get so pumped about it. You're like, okay, what next year it's going to be, better and all of this stuff. So yeah, I think a lot of it is, I could not have done it without the community. So there's an amazing community in Chiang Mai. I help organize a lot of things in the community, so I know a lot of people. So I've given a lot into the community. And then this was a time where I asked help. I asked for a lot of help. Everyone showed up. And it wasn't my festival. It was like our festival. Everyone did it together. Because if I was doing it on my own, I would not have been able to do anything. I really believe in the power of community and how it can do amazing things. And we've seen that on so many levels, but to really test it out and say okay, let's see if we can do this as a community.
Yes.
That was a big moment for me, just to be really proud of Chiang Mai and all the really powerful women that are there. And then also the local community. A lot of my Thai friends like came out and supported. And I take Thai lessons, but I don't speak Thai fluently. So I had to really ask for my Thai friends to come and help me translate a lot of things, even down to like getting ice. Like I couldn't, the local vendors that we needed to work with. And it was very hard for me to get certain things, and they would just make one phone call and everything would be perfect. So I was really
Yes, I hope that in Lisbon it's easier because I speak the language. At least that may help. Mm-hmm. But it's incredible because there are so many little things that I did the same as you. Like I said, let's create a conference in Lisbon. Why not? How many people? 200, easy. Yeah. And I just started. I'm just in the beginning of the process. So maybe it's the right time even to ask you, when you are building a big event like this, what is your main focus? Or do you have three main focus where if everything else goes wrong, these three things have to go right to make it at least partly successful? What do you think is your three main focuses there?
I want to make sure that people that go there have a very good experience. So one thing I learned a lot from this one was not to go big, like to make sure that even if it's less people than you expected or hoped for, that every single person leaves knowing that they want to come back next year. And that it was really, because people's time is very valuable. Even though you put all this effort into organizing something, they're taking the Saturday out of their day, a Saturday out of their life to come and to be part of it. So making sure that they have that. And then I did a festival in a field where I had barely any electricity. Like I set up everything from the stage to electricity to vendors, everything. And I would say, be really nice to yourself and like find a venue that has everything already. Like don't make it hard on yourself. And then the third thing, really just be very loud about it. Like one thing that I'm very good at is marketing. So from the beginning, everyone knew what was happening along the way, and it became part of the story. And then I even did an Indiegogo campaign, like a Kickstarter campaign, so people were a part of it and they're really invested in making it successful all the way up until the day of and after. So it was like, that's why I keep saying it wasn't my festival, it was like our festival as a community, and people really feel that way.
Incredible. When is the next edition?
The next Bond Women's Festival is November 16th.
Oh, that's perfect time for Chiang Mai, actually, because I was there in the wrong season. Again, I'm not very good with this. I was there in the wrong season, so I was there still when it was smoking season.
Oh, no.
I really want to go in a better place because like 2 weeks after I left, it was perfect. 1 or 2 weeks, it was like amazing, beautiful green skies, beautiful blue skies. I was like, why I'm so bad at putting everything together? But now I know. From November, December, January are the perfect timing to go to Chiang Mai and even to check out the Bond Women Festival. That seems especially for our women. Yes, go to Chiang Mai. Actually, Chiang Mai is one of the best places and one of the most famous places to start out as a digital nomad. What do you think is that? Why Chiang Mai?
I think because it's amazing weather, it's affordable, and I think it's exotic. People are like, I want to leave my 9-to-5 job and go to Asia, but then like Thailand has really good internet and we can like get like a really nice meal and healthy and everything. Whereas if you go to another country, you're going to be fighting a lot of like trying to find internet, trying to make sure that you have clean water. Like Thailand has it all set up. That's why we call it like, it's like a starter city, like a starter pack, you show up there, you can have everything you need within a day or two and you start working right away.
Yeah, I felt that's true. When we arrived to Chiang Mai, we had everything set up. So we had an apartment, a co-working space, we had everything together. It was just so easy. We arrived, we went to put our bags in the bedroom and we start working from the co-working space, just like that. They have everything figured out. And one thing we loved in Thailand, and specifically in Chiang Mai, the street markets and the street food are amazing. It's so good. And we ate for like 40 baht for a meal, which is like €1.30 for a full meal. We got really full next to the co-working space. And it was like, wow, now we are in Kuala Lumpur, we pay €10 instead. But also because we are more in the expat zone. So you can find really cheap food in Kuala Lumpur, but we are in the expat zone. And we feel such a big difference in terms of prices from here to Chiang Mai that definitely, if you are starting out, if your budget is low, if you don't know where to start, Chiang Mai has it all. It's like in the competition with Bali, but because Bali is more expensive, it's not so easy to go to Bali and just start from the ground.
Yeah.
Even community-wise, I don't feel so welcoming when you are just starting. And Chiang Mai is the opposite. There is even people helping another digital nomads that are just starting. They don't go there. They don't know what to do. And we saw co-working spaces putting together content to help digital nomads that are just starting. We saw the meetups. There is a lot of really cool things in Chiang Mai happening. And yeah, we actually love it. And we really have to go back without the smoke next year because, just don't go there between February and late April, maybe beginning of May to make it safe. And
also, I haven't told you this, but I'm planning to open my own co-living space there. So
I'll
let you know when that launches.
Yes. Oh, now I'm excited because I'm sure you will create the right community there.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Is it easy to create a business in Thailand, or do you need to partner with a local?
It's very hard, yes. You need to understand the local culture, and you need to have a local partner that you trust to not screw you over.
That's the difficult part. I think everywhere in Asia. Maybe the exception is Malaysia somehow, because they are really trying to push harder the startup scene. They want to invite more people that are starting businesses. But both in Indonesia, I think you have to have a partner as well. In Thailand, definitely the same. I think you have a healthy craziness into yourself because you decide to go to the most difficult places. But like the festival, I think everything will turn out perfectly. I have this question because I'm just starting my journey. We started 6 months ago and we started with Asia. And how do you choose where to go next? Right now you are in Lisbon. When you plan a place that you really want to go and visit, how do you choose it? Is it through the community? Do you read about it? Or do you just see a good place and go? How do you do that step-by-step process?
I think a lot of it is the community. So I usually go places. I mean, I have worked for remote companies. I've worked remotely for companies, but a lot of my work is actually in-person consulting. So my stuff is like, is there a cool co-working space that I want to go help build out? Or is there something I can do there that make an impact? So that's helped. I've done most of Europe and Asia. And now my thing is, I'm going to start South America in February for 6 months on our second season for the Remote Collective. And I haven't been to South America ever, which is funny because I've been to 50 countries and I've just never been to South America. So I'm going to do that. And then a lot of it is just like, have I been to this country or continent? Oh, I haven't. Okay, I really want to go. And then I find a co-working space. I find somewhere that I can make it so it's easier to start. So next year will be South America and Africa because I haven't explored.
Oh. Wow. But in South America, we'll start because it's fun. We are actually going to Brazil and we'll start South America from Brazil in January.
Oh, nice. Yeah. We're in Rio for Carnival. That's where we're launching.
Wow. Okay. You are doing it right. We are going to South. We are going to Florianópolis first, down in the South, because it's just not such a big city and it's easier to do. It's more European feeling. Mm-hmm. And transitioning from Europe and from Asia, where everything is very safe, to South America, maybe a little bit hard because it's not as safe as you are. You can just be with your computer in your hand like I do here in Kuala Lumpur. It's just not a good idea. And so, we are starting down south, and then we don't know where we are going, to be honest. So I think I will just follow you, see where you are going.
That's what a lot of people are saying. They're just following our Remote Collective series. They're like, we're going to see where we're going to go next by watching your series.
Yes, that sounds like a good plan, actually, because we have no idea where to go next. South America is huge. We think about some countries, Colombia, Mexico, but South America is huge. And just Brazil, I can be there for 1 year and change from amazing city to amazing city every single week because they are that big. And we are totally lost. It's the first time because there is not so many digital nomads in South America. There is no these big digital nomad hubs. So you have to kind of figure out for yourself a little bit more. And I'll just follow. I will just follow you because
what we're doing is we're starting to have co-working and co-living spaces in South America reach out to us because they want to be. They basically want us to showcase them in the series. So for me, that's a good sign, though. That means that they're following the digital nomad community. They're also looking to remote work, and So we'll probably, there's a couple co-living spaces in Brazil that we're going to go stay at just to see the community. And then we have a big co-living brand that we're negotiating with right now to be our location sponsor. So if that goes through, then we'll be able to go anywhere in South America because they have spaces all over.
Wow, that's perfect. Yes, definitely. Yes, and you can actually see, because I think not always the community happens before the co-working or the co-living space. I see a lot of co-living spaces building the community. And there is some famous in Europe that I really want to go there still this year, and I want to visit them, which is Bansko in Bulgaria. There was nothing there. They built a co-working space, they built the community, and now they are one of the best places in Europe. And it's fun because it's actually a very cold place. Most of the people go there for snowboarding and skiing. But again, community, they built the community starts sharing, persons start to talk with other people. And now I'm really curious to see what they are building in Bansko in Bulgaria.
Yeah, I was there. I helped out at a women entrepreneurship retreat in August 2 years ago there. And yeah, so it wasn't snowy season, but it was really nice. The town is very small. So you have to really like the community because you can probably walk through the town within a half an hour.
Yeah.
And,
there is another one in the north of Spain I'm just thinking about because I follow them, and I think they will open in Portugal soon, in Setúbal. Sende co-working space, co-living space. And Sende, they are really small. I think it's a village with 20 persons only. So it's actually all of, yeah, exactly. It's in the start of Spain, Galicia. I think the village has only 20 persons, and they built this amazing space to work and to live from. And they have a really cool community. I'm following them for like 1 year. And it's amazing because they are one of the things I believe that will happen with co-working, with this remote working lifestyle, is that we can move anywhere. And most of us that live in cities for a long time are really tired of living in cities. And rural areas have a huge chance right now to make something great and attract people. And they did that in one of the smallest villages. I would never put my money there. And they are building something truly amazing. I think they have more people in the co-living space than the inhabitants in the city.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. That's amazing. I see that a lot. We were at a co-living space outside of Berlin called Coconut, and they are doing a lot of programs about basically bringing people from the city to live in the countryside, trying to like repopulate the countryside, but in the co-living spaces space.
Yes, exactly. And there is another one. You know it for sure. Grow Remote in Ireland. They are doing an amazing push in bringing more people to rural areas. I'm also following them. I'm trying to push them to come to the podcast as well, because I truly believe that they're changing the way people live in Ireland. So people are moving to rural areas because they are forcing for having good connection and places to work. So people don't have to live in Dublin. That is really crazy expensive. And and because of them, I had a really nice call with a lady in the north of Ireland, and she was like in the co-working space, and she said, "Oh, wait, there is a cow here in the window." Exactly, like she was like, there is a business center, and there was a cow in the window next to her, and I was like, wow. And she was like perfect internet connection. She said she was really, really happy there because living next to the areas, the kids could just go out and play. The prices were like 1/3 of Dublin that got really, really expensive. And yeah, she was really happy living in the middle of the nature. And I think also for the community, I don't know, in the future, maybe I don't know if you agree. Do you think digital nomads one thing that you will do forever, or maybe we'll just slow down and do it slowly in the future?
I think people that travel really fast, they get burnt out really easily. So I have a home base in Chiang Mai, and then I travel for about 3 to 6 months of the year, but a lot of that's sporadic. So for me, I call it doing seasons. So stay in a country for a season. So whether that's a high season for digital nomads or just the really nice weather for that season. So you stay there for 3 or 4 months and then you rotate through. So then eventually I have 3 or 4 locations every year and everyone is there and you just rotate through them. And it's amazing because then you can have your stuff there. Like sometimes I'll leave my stuff in certain countries and come back and it feels like home. Or you have like certain friends that live there full time, so you just come back and hang out with them. So I don't think that the traveling constantly every month, I do not think that's sustainable. I actually really encourage people to travel slower because there's no point in running through countries if you're trying to work and live. You're not going to be able to see the local country anyways because you're just trying to live your everyday life. Whereas if you're there for 3 or 4 months, you have time to slowly kind of check things off your list of things that you want to see and people to get to know. Because, it's hard to build a community if you're only there for a month. Like the second you finally meet someone you like and you want to be friends with, and all of a sudden one of you is leaving.
I'm exactly feeling that. After 3 weeks, usually we start to go out for coffee with people. We start to enjoy the community. Yeah. People start to invite us for doing things. And after 1 week, I leave. And the story has been repeated for a while in the last 6 months. And I start thinking how this digital nomad lifestyle, what's the future? And I think it's a little bit, the second step will be more what you are doing. So have a couple of home bases, maybe in Portugal, maybe in Bali, in Chiang Mai, and then or rotate to them, or maybe even having 6 months, like you were saying, in one place where you are like grounded, you can do your deep work, you don't have to be exploring, you have your own community, you feel at home, and then explore the world in the other 6 months or any other time. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, or you can just use that as your home base and go out for a couple of weeks, like you're going on holiday or whatever. But you can still work remotely in those countries. So I think that can be whatever you want. I think the traditional digital nomad thing, I think that's getting old school real fast because people are realizing you don't need to be rushing. Why are we rushing? Where are we going? Like we have like a lot of time. We don't need to be like a country. And also that's really expensive. Like your money can go a lot farther if you stay in one place and not just buying a flight everywhere.
Yes, every time you move, at least 200 euros we spend minimum, like at least 200 euros easily. And just the community, for me, more than the money is okay, but the community, like every time we feel really well, we feel really connected with the local community. It happened in Bali, even in Chiang Mai, and we are leaving. And sorry guys, it was amazing, but we are out of here in 1 week.
And it's really sad.
Yes, it's really sad. But then, of course, I'm also excited because I'm going to this next place, and this next place will be really cool. And you start from the ground, and it's not. I think long term, it's not doable, but short term, I'm enjoying because it's a way of also knowing more cities. Because before you choose where you are going to stay, you have to meet first the cities, right? And I think what we are doing right now is almost like scouting. We are scouting the places. So we scouted Bali, we scouted Chiang Mai, we've been in Koh Samui in Thailand, we are now in Kuala Lumpur, we are loving Kuala Lumpur. I never thought I would enjoy so much Kuala Lumpur like I'm enjoying right now. We are going back to Bali because we are going to running remote. And we are just scouting places for the future because then we are going to Vietnam and next year to South America. And in 1 year or 2 years, we know more or less all these places, or at least we have a decent idea of how would it be to live there. And then we can do like you and choose, like have a long-term home base anywhere, have the proper visa because visas are driving me crazy. So I think the future is exactly what you are saying is, after you travel for a while, you know the places, you will want to stop traveling. It's very nice. The idea seems amazing, but you get tired of it after a while. And I think for us, it will be like 2 years in the roads and then just choose one or two home bases. I think maybe Portugal will be one of them because we have our family, our friends there. But the future will be maybe summer in Portugal and the rest of the year anywhere else. Maybe I love Asia. I'm loving Asia, to be honest. And Bali is like my favorite place so far because it just has everything we like. We are looking for the CrossFit, the beach, just has everything and really good cafe. Oh my God, the cafes in Bali are ridiculous. It's amazing. So what are the next steps for you? You are not now in my favorite city in the world, Portugal. Where are you going next? What's the next step today?
On Friday, I fly to London. I'm organizing an event there for remote working, and we have big like Buffer and a lot of bigger brands are speaking at it because I really want to bring out the community of the corporates and also people who want to work remotely and connect them together. And then at the end of the month, I fly back home to Chiang Mai. So when I go back, I'll have been gone for 5 months. Like sometimes a new country every week. I'm like, I'm tired. I want to go home. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to go home and see my friends. And they feel like family. And everyone's messaging me like, where are you? Why have you been gone so long? And they say that community is a sense of feeling like when you're gone, people miss you. And to me, that's when I know like, okay, that's home for me. I'm really excited.
That's the perfect way of describing community. Even when you feel someone, also when you leave the place and you think, I should stay here longer, and you ended up staying and staying and staying, and you want to do something for the local community. You want to start building something there, and then you feel like, okay, I'm already part of this community. Are you planning before the big event? Are you planning anything between before the Bond Woman Festival? Are you planning any meetups in Chiang Mai? It's not yet clear.
No, I always have things going on. So when I'm in town, I organize a weekly business mastermind meetup. Everyone can come to it. It's a really great way to bring up community. Me and another friend started a Chiang Mai Entrepreneurship Association. So once a month we do a big meetup, like 150 people. And our goal is to connect the local Thai entrepreneurs with the foreign entrepreneurs, digital nomads. So we do that every month. I organize a lot of underground parties in Chiang Mai because I used to live in New York. And I missed having that. So we'll take over a rooftop or like a basement and do like a big party with DJs and stuff like that. So I even started my own Facebook group called Bond Events Chiang Mai because there were so many events that I was doing. People were always asking, what are this and that? And then planning out the next season of Remote Collective. So the next time I really travel will be in February for the next season in South America. So we'll be gone for 6 months. But right before that, I'm going to be in Bali again to speak at the co-working conference. So planning, getting everything done, doing all the interviews that I need to do, launching everything. There's so much to do, but it's exciting. And it's exciting because it's my own stuff and I'm really passionate about it, and I feel like I'm making an impact. And I think that's important.
How do you balance everything? Like, you just described me like 10 different events and different associations. You have parties, you have your own businesses, you have consulting to co-working, you have consulting to businesses, you have consulting to co-living. You are doing all this and traveling at the same time. How do you set up your day? How do you do everything? It looks impossible to me, and I'm in the road. How do you manage everything in your day-to-day life? Or are you a workaholic? And you are secretly.
I don't think I'm a workaholic. I do think I am. I've been doing this for 4 years, so it's taking me a long time to be very focused and like very systemized, because it's really easy to get distracted. But I think it's all about your self-care. So I'm an extrovert. I love taking care of the community. I'm like a mom. Like, is everyone happy? Are you all connected? But if I don't give time for myself in the mornings, then I can't give that to everyone else. So I do running. I go for a run. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I usually try and get like 4 sessions in a week when I'm in Chiang Mai. I do my journaling. I do meditation. All of that only takes about an hour, maybe an hour and a half in the morning. And if I can wake up early enough to do all those things, then the whole rest of the day, I'm like happy. I'm like ready to give back to other people and to give that effort and drive into my work. So I really recommend that. Whatever that is for you, I think it's funny when people are like, what's your morning routine? I think it's different for everyone. Maybe your morning routine happens at night, whatever it is, but having that self-care time where you're like, this is for me, this is giving back to me, and then I can go out into the world and do whatever I need to do and feel really excited about it.
Well, amazing. Definitely, I have to be more focused because, I felt that when you are traveling, it's very easy to just fall in the trap of just trying to do everything. And I'm right now balancing a lot of stuff also. And I fell in the trap of working way too much. Like sometimes I work 10, 12 hours and it's just maybe lack of focus. And I will do my own morning routine after this talk because I really need it. And I think it's very important even to have something that is steady in your life when you are moving from place to place, meeting all these different people. When you have your morning routine, that's your time. So it's your time to hang out with yourself, to think about your life, and even to focus in what you are doing in the day and not just do things without any focus that will not end up right at all.
Work smarter. Don't work hard. Don't just be running around. Like, you have to be very focused on what you're trying to get done.
Being busy is like the new thing that everybody wants to look busy. Well, you see that people that are not always busy, they look like the smartest and the ones making all the money and living happier. So maybe being busy is not that cool.
Yeah.
We will wrap up right now this podcast, but I want first to give you some time to share where people can find more about you. Where should they go to see more about the festivals, the events that you are doing? If they're in Chiang Mai, where should they send a message to hit one of your crazy parties?
Yeah, for sure. So Remote Collective is where to find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So that's our video series. That's also where I'll be launching the co-living space. I'll have a website coming out soon. So type in Remote Collective. You'll find us on all of those platforms. The Bond Women's Festival is on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a website. So check us out there. We'll be releasing a lot more stuff soon. And then when it comes to Chiang Mai, I'm fine. Just reach out to me. I usually will connect you. I have a Facebook group called Bond Events Chiang Mai, and I literally just list out not even just my events, everyone's events in the city. I make a list Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because so many people message me asking me what's going on in the city that I just decided to make like an events list. And these are the ones that I would actually go to. Here, just go to that.
Wow.
That's something to do, and I think it has like 1,000 people in there, and I just started it. So. There's so many resources out there. I would just say, just reach out to me. Like, I'm very accessible. It's one thing I realize a lot of the community, we're super open to help people. And usually if I can't personally help someone, I know who to connect them to. So I'm just like, just get on the plane, just start traveling.
Yes, that's the best message. So if you are not sure if you should travel or not, just get out on the plane, try it for some months, go to Chiang Mai, meet Brittany. She will tell you where to go and who to meet. And I'm really now inspired and really willing to go back to Chiang Mai after Bali.
For sure,
you made me miss Chiang Mai so badly now. People are so amazing there. So thank you very, very much, Brittany. It was a wonderful time. I think we've got a lot of good content, a lot of different things to people think about. And we'll see you in the world.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Brittany. Please follow her in all social media and her projects like Remote Collective. If you are around Chiang Mai, make sure you say hi. She's there most of the year. And are you enjoying this podcast? It's super important to know your feedback. Just write your comments down below or go to our website and share your feedback. We are trying to improve this for you, make this podcast for you, and it's very useful that you give your comments to us. Thank you very much for listening. See you next week with a brand new episode. Goodbye.